Do you remember your first time? And no, not just that one. Any first time you did anything. And yes, I understand. It was horrifying. Hello, it's Alex. My fearless friends, welcome to the Dare to Be Here podcast with growth, mindset, and empowerment. The space where we all embrace our messy journeys, celebrate growth, and cultivate a positive mindset, even when life forgets the sugar. I'm Alex, a published author, culture studies graduate, big dreamer, and a psychology geek. I don't have it all figured out, and that's exactly the point. Because together, we'll share stories, lessons, and conversations that remind us of our beauty, power, and the strength we gain along the way. This is your feel-good moment to relate this week, to be heard, and to step into who you are. Let's dive into this week's episode. Welcome to the first episode of the Dare to Be Heard podcast. My podcast that I'm starting right now with this very first episode. And yeah, I hope you like it. If you're tuning in for the first time, for the very first episode, thank you so much. It means the world to me. I'm Alex, as you probably saw in the title. I'm a serial podcast listener. I love podcasts. I look up to people who do podcasts. It's such a cool way. We live in such cool podcast environment where anyone can grab a mic and just chat, share their experiences, share their journey. So I always thought, wow, it would be so cool to do that. And recently I thought, why not? Just start it. Yeah, just go with it. Maybe you can hear it from my accent, from the way I talk, from the way I sound, that I'm not a native. And this was something that always was like a roadblock in my head because I do want to do the podcast in English. I listen to the podcast in English, and it was something that really connects to today's episode about starting, about fear of judgment, how we think of ourselves. I just decided to start it. So if I pronounce something wrong or I say something in a weird manner, just bear with me. I hope that's all right with you. When I introduce myself, and I think what will relate the most to this podcast is that I'm an author. I'm a published young adult author in Polish, and this is a journey that taught me countless lessons and something that I definitely want to share. If you're one of my readers in Polish, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I also love psychology, growth, mindset, anything connected to empowerment and self-confidence. I think being an author, putting myself out there and doing all this creative stuff really put my struggles with self-confidence in the spotlight. And it's a long journey that I had. I still struggle. It's still a process. So that's why I also want to share it. And hopefully you can relate to it. Hopefully you can start to recognize some of your own patterns and start to change them if you wish to do so. I hope this podcast also shows you that growth doesn't have to be perfect or polished, that it's an individual process for all of us, that it's okay not to have it all figured out. And no matter the age, in your 20s, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, damn it, 80s, you can still figure stuff out. It's natural, it's fine. So I hope that these conversations also bring it to your attention. I hope you feel inspired, motivated, you get your spark back. I know how it feels to lose it for a second. I hope you feel seen, you grow in any way that's comfortable for you. So let's dive straight into first times. I thought this is one of the most fitting episodes that we can do for the very first one about first times. It just seems perfect. In this episode, you will learn why first times are horrifying, why they scare us, why they cause fear. I definitely belong to the group that struggles a lot, and it's just horrifying to put yourself out there. If you work in a creative space, I think you will highly relate to this. If you put art out, if you post on social media, if you have any sort of an idea, even business idea that is a first and you want people to relate to it, you want people to understand it, you want people to subscribe, to join, to get a service from you, it can be really scary to start. There's multiple roadblocks that come up. I get it. So today we will look into 3 psychological reasons that cause that fear, that make you feel like it's scary, like you shouldn't do it, and we'll look into them so you understand why it happens and why it's not really relevant. I will also share some tips on how to overcome these thoughts, on how to realize they don't have to define our process, our art, our journey, our ideas. And I hope that at the end of this episode, you will feel like, oh my God, I'm going to start right now. I'm going to do what I always postponed to do, what I always wanted to do. The fear no longer exists. I got that kick that I needed. I'm going for it. If you like it, please, please, please subscribe to the podcast, to the social media, to the episodes, to support the podcast. As you know, from this episode, starting is not so easy. So any support here is greatly, greatly appreciated. The first reason that I learned in therapy and years of the meetings it came up. Sometimes your brain can be your biggest enemy. And yes, it sounds unbelievable, but it's true. Your brain protects you from anything that can be dangerous. And as my therapist would always tell me, our brain is still very much basic. It hasn't upgraded to 2025, it still lives in the Bronze Age. I'm not kidding you. Anything different, anything that will set you apart from people, from the tribe, from others, that will make the people look at you a bit funny, a bit weird. Maybe they think, oh my God, what a weirdo. It all means that you're losing a tribe. You're losing a group that protects you. So when you want to start a podcast, write a book, move to a new city, open a business, your brain doesn't think, oh my God, so cool, personal growth. No, your brain thinks, oh my God, she's losing her tribe, she's losing her people, she's gonna be alone, a tiger is going to eat her out there. Our modern life, phones, computers, dating apps, planes, opportunities, it all evolved so much faster than biology ever could. And I know it's been thousands of years since the Bronze Age, but that's the reality of it. Our brain is still a little bit there, or very much so even. That means that the very same system that once protected our ancestors from predators, from exile, from dying, is right now stopping you from posting a TikTok. Humans are ultra social creatures, and our brains are wired to prioritize social inclusion, being accepted by the group, and historically that meant survival. Being excluded could be life-threatening. And it isn't just metaphorical. It's literally encoded in your neurobiology. Difficult word here. So being accepted meant safety, shelter, food, belonging. And if you were rejected or outcast, you were on your own. And being on your own wasn't just lonely, it was lethal. You could literally die. So that's why the human brain evolved to prioritize belonging over individuality. And this is sometimes what stops you from starting things right now, because your ancient brain doesn't have to care about your dreams or authenticity. It only cares about keeping you alive. So when you do something that risks judgment, rejection, people looking at you, talking about you, your brain can interpret it as a threat to survival. In this case, evolution moves painfully slow. There's no tigers anymore. There's no bears, just the comment section. The second reason we might struggle to start something, to start with an idea, is self-consciousness. And I think this is a very valid topic for a lot of people. A lot of people struggle with it. We look at ourselves with a lens, and I have some data to prove to you that it's just not true. And here it again comes to our good old friend, the brain. Your brain thinks you have 30 stalkers, 30 pairs of eyes constantly looking at you, judging everything you do, and just paying constant attention to you, monitoring you 24/7. Does that feel familiar? When you trip on the sidewalk, when you post something online or say something cheeky in a group, your brain immediately thinks, oh my God, everyone saw that. Everyone thinks I'm such a weirdo. Oh my God, everyone was looking at me. Here's the truth. Nobody looks at you as much as you think they do. Your brain thinks that everyone just witnessed your downfall. Because the moment this social self-consciousness hits, your brain also hits the drama button. It zooms you in, you're under giant spotlight, everyone looks at you. But in reality, most people are too busy thinking about themselves to even notice. I always think about this experiment that I once read about. It was by Thomas Gilovich, and he gave students hilarious t-shirts to wear. But hilarious. Think I pooped my pants with the poop emoji in it. They made the students walk into a room, walk to a class, wear those t-shirts, and just go on with their day. Then they asked the students, what do you think, how many people noticed that you were wearing this ridiculous t-shirt? The students said in full terror that probably at least half of the other students so noticed and judged their horrible t-shirts. And do you know what the outcome was? Only a quarter of all of the people in that room even looked at the t-shirt. And that is exactly the spotlight effect. We think that everyone is looking at us, everyone is judging us every second of the day, and that's not true. People think mostly about their own lives, what's going on for them. They don't judge you constantly. Who has time for that? So the next time you're doing something, you're starting something, think about that public self-consciousness. So how much you care about how others see you. If you overthink, if you replay moments, if you crave approval, you don't have to do that. Try to exist freely. Dance in the public, say what you mean, no filter. And if you're low in your public self-consciousness, it means that you can live more freely. You can do whatever the hell you want. And again, I think it also connects to the tribe brain, because if you're high in your public self-consciousness, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wired to belong, and the trait is just maybe a bit higher in you. Maybe your past wired you as well to be that way. The third reason why your brain sometimes stops you from doing certain things is the imposter syndrome. My old dear friend that has been with me for so long that we're basically buddies now. Do you ever hear this little voice in your head that tells you, I cannot do it, I'm not a specialist, who the hell would believe me in this? Congratulations, you've met your imposter syndrome. It's that little annoying voice that tells you that your success is a matter of luck, that everyone can do better than you, and that at any given moment, someone will expose you as a fraud. The imposter syndrome usually develops from a mix of life experiences, social conditioning, and also how your brain is wired. It can come from childhood messages and the environment you grew up in. It can come from social comparison. If you're constantly comparing yourself to others, it might make you feel like you're falling short or something, like everyone is doing better. If very early on you were exposed to rejection or failure, it also affects us. And this is such an important topic because the imposter syndrome, it can make you paralyzed. It can literally paralyze us with perfection. You delay starting everything because you think you have to be perfect. And I struggle with that a lot. I feel like, who will read my books? Who will listen to my podcast? It's not perfect. There's mistakes in the audio, mistakes in the text. Why would people listen to this when there's multiple other sources that maybe do it better in some aspect? What the imposter syndrome doesn't understand is that the process is one of the most important things you can have in starting anything, that the end result, the perfection, it's not so important. It's important what you learn from it and what you get from what you're doing. The imposter syndrome doesn't understand that people who will tune into your episode, that people who will read your book, who will go to your business, who will order something from you, they appreciate this, they do it, they want it because it's you, because they have this outward perspective that you're an amazing person, that the imposter syndrome can put a curtain on. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal. It takes a few mindset changes, a few steps to rewire it, but it's definitely possible. So just tell it to get lost, that imposter syndrome. Also, if you struggle with seeing sometimes only the negatives in a situation or focus more in negatives, this feeds the imposter syndrome. This is the daily bread for the imposter syndrome, because you start something, you accomplish something, you reached your first goal, your first step. Your brain ignores it. For example, I published a book. There were some negative reviews, people who simply didn't like it because it wasn't for them. Maybe it wasn't the genre they liked, the style they liked. So they posted a review that said, this is not for me, I didn't like this, and that. My brain completely ignored all the positives that were written in 10 other reviews, and it told me, see, you're not ready. You're too young, too inexperienced, too whatever to be an author. Just give up. It's never gonna happen. And it's like that on repeat. It's this constant loop of focusing on one thing that just proves you. It puts your attention onto the negative scenario. And I think this is something we need to rewire. It's something that I still learn, because still if I see a negative review, it doesn't matter that I might have 100 of positive ones. That one negative review is what I put my spotlight on. What really helps me here is journaling, writing the wins that happened. I did this exercise with my therapist once. She told me to write 10 things that I'm proud of about myself. I wrote them, and after I finished reading them out loud, I was like, wait, this is quite impressive. I did quite impressive things. And maybe that would work for you. Maybe that's the way to kick this imposter syndrome right in the ass. So how to rewire your brain, in a sense, how to change the patterns, how to use a different perspective to move away from these thoughts that you have, from all of these syndromes that happen, all of these maybe a bit ancient brain processes that stop you from getting what you want, doing what you want. Definitely tell your brain that look around, it's not the Bronze Age anymore. We live in the 21st century where literally you can find your crowd anywhere. You can connect with anyone. There's people into different things that are ready, happy, and so excited to welcome you in their community, that you're not gonna be cast out. You will find your people, and that's the people you want to be with. Also, ask yourself this question. If someone told you that the thing you're doing is lame, it's weird, you're horrible, it's just a flop, do you want to be friends with that person? Do you want to be in their tribe? I wouldn't. If one of my friends came to me and they told me this weird, crazy, funny idea that they want to try, I would be their biggest cheerleader. I'm always trying to support them. And even if the idea is weird or not in my garden, let's say, I would still support them. And I think this is the friend you need to have in your head. You need to have this voice that we can go back to childhood, and you can imagine this person as your imaginary friend that I know you had when you were a kid. So this is your imaginary friend to always support you, to always cheer on you, and to always tell you that this is a great idea. It's fantastic. Do it. Also, it really helps me to analyze the worst case scenario. What would happen if this worst case scenario were to happen? I'm writing books, so for the books, it's a flop. The book is a disaster, no one liked it, it got bad reviews, no one reads it. So what? I write another one. It's fine, I'll have another idea, I'll have something different, I'll still write. Is one failure or one project that is not so successful gonna stop me from being a writer, from doing what I love? Absolutely not. Talking about failures, I think it's another huge topic that we could wrap in another episode. And to give you a little bit of an idea here, I am a huge Mel Robbins fan. I love her podcast. I run to my phone to put my headphones on anytime a new episode comes out. And there was one episode that really taught me a lot about failure and how you need to see it in just like a very emotionless perspective. And I know this is extremely difficult. Failure is nothing else than an emotional experience, but in that episode, she was talking with like a movie producer, and he told her that failure is just data. It's just information for you. What works, what doesn't, what do you have to change? It's nothing personal. So this really helped me change my perspective, and yeah, it was a life-changing episode. Remember to focus on the progress, on the things you're learning from this experience, something that maybe didn't work out. How are you going to use it? And it really just comes down to that. So I'm still learning that. Still, when something doesn't work out that I planned, I get so upset, but then I try to use these steps, to use these tips to simply snap out of it and move on to the next thing. So I think it also really comes down to this baseline of confidence, of figuring out why you do what you do. What is your reason for it? What is your calling? Why do you want to do it? And if something that you do is your passion, if it's something that gives you this amazing thrill, you will find ways to do it. You will keep going. And you don't have to be a pro writer selling bestsellers to tell yourself, I'm a good author. I write fun stories. They're not perfect, but they're fun. And I love it. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. And whatever people say, I don't care. I love it. I really hope that these examples, these reasons for why starting is difficult, it really unraveled something for you, and it made this knot of fear untangle, and it just made everything easier for you to take now your project, have that excitement back, and say, I'm just starting. So right now, as I got you more excited, you're thinking about your project, you're thinking about what do I want to start right now, I gathered some of examples from Reddit of the most funny, the most ridiculous, weird first business ideas, any sort of an original first, let's call it. So let's have a laugh together, let's go through those, and hopefully you will feel like, yeah, there's a lot of curious ideas out there. I think mine will be just fine. So a very funny business idea. Someone on Reddit mentioned a guy on Shark Tank, and he pitched a Bluetooth earpiece that you got surgically implanted in your ear canal that you charged by sticking a needle in your ear while you slept. So yeah, that guy had that business idea. In my college town, there was a cereal restaurant. Why make a bowl of cereal at home when you can pay $5 for someone else to do it? Not surprisingly, it closed right after opening, which is fine. I'm sure the owner got another idea for a great restaurant and now he's making millions of dollars. Don't you guys remember the story of a Zoop tube? Well, that sounds definitely intriguing. It was during the pandemic and this guy tried to convince his girlfriend this was a good idea. You can share Zoop with your neighbor, throw a tube between buildings and apartments. Do you imagine just like some random tomato soup going between two windows? So you can share Zoop with your neighbor, throw a tube between buildings and apartments. He was so serious about it that his girlfriend became concerned for him. The business didn't work, but again, that's just fine. It's a fun idea, I have to admit. Oh my god, this is my favorite. You're gonna flip out. So someone had this first business idea to start a monthly sex toy subscription. Love a sex toy, love a subscription. What could go wrong? So you would get a different sex toy each month, but the only problem this guy had is that he wanted the customers to eventually return the toy so he could pass it on to the next customer. He actually got it in talks with an owner of a local sex shop to help him start, but the enthusiasm flattened out quite quickly. I mean, let's just finish with that. So yeah, I hope you feel a little bit reassured with your business, art, project ideas right now. Please remember that you can always start unready. I think it's the best way to go about it. There are certain things you cannot learn unless you do them. So just go ahead, tell me about your scariest, funniest, or most unforgettable first times. I'll definitely share them on social media and we can all connect about our first time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening, for sticking to the end. I know it was a long one, but I hope it was a nice one as well. And see you next episode. Bye.